It's 10 straight victories for the Penrith Panthers, but not everyone can be premiership contenders as Brisbane's dark days continue. As Anthony Seibold coached his final game for the Broncos, and if he gets white, who slides in? Sam Thaiday joins us live to discuss. And time is ticking for the Games great to make a call on his future, so will Cameron Smith stay on in 2021? Plus, there's been a crackdown on crusher tackles and, surprise, surprise, it has the room divided. Plenty to get through on today's episode of Inside the NRL. Great to have your company. And just a few hours ago, we did see the great Mr. Reliable, make an announcement that he will retire at the season's end. Now, a boy from Ballina at 15 years old, always dreamt of playing just one NRL game. He will go out with 3, potentially 4 premierships and arguably the most capped Sydney Roosters player, gents, if he can get back from this wrist injury. Is it time for him to call it quits, do you think?
I was there when he made his debut at the Roosters, which makes me feel really old. But, yeah, one of the most greatest utility players that we've seen. He's played a halfback, grand final at halfback, but he's going to be sorely missed by the Roosters. There's not many guys that can fill the void that he's been able to do over his career, and what a fantastic player and fantastic clubman as well. Yeah, very unselfish player, and even this decision to retire at the end of the year, very unselfish, very Mitchell Aubusson, because the reality is he probably could have played another season. There's nothing to suggest that he isn't able to compete in the NRL next year, but if he plays on, then someone like a Jake Friend or one of the Morris boys, and someone has to suffer elsewhere. So he's made the unselfish decision to retire, and good luck to him. Hopefully he goes out the way he deserves. The interesting thing about this now is that if he doesn't come back, I think he's one game or equal with Anthony Minicello, so it might be the whole... Maybe he just leaves it at that if he can't get back, or maybe he does go to number
He's at 301 games. So
is he one behind Mini?
Yeah, at the moment, and equal to...
Maybe he plays one more.
I'm tipping if he can win a grand final, he's coming back. He's not worrying about how many games
Thanks for that hot tip. Thanks for that hot tip, champion.
Yeah, I think Jamie might know. Yeah. Anyway, do you know why he was actually... I didn't know that he was recruited by Artie Beetson, which is another incredible... He said that... it will always be grateful for that day. I wouldn't be here without him. Like, beautiful speech. Anyway, to Red Hill. Now, they've only won 3 games out of the entire season. They've been through basically any on-field or off-field drama possible, and it only gets worse today. It's been reported that Anthony Seibold is in discussions with the club about a fair termination package. Michael, how is this playing out? What is the latest?
Yeah, from my understanding, it's a matter now of sorting out how much Anthony Seibold is paid out to terminate his contract at the Brisbane Broncos. Obviously, he hasn't gone to plan, signed that mammoth 6-year deal, 5 years plus an option to go up there and replace Wayne Bennett, and it's all fallen apart for Anthony Seibold. So I think it's a matter of when now, and they can come up with a package there that Anthony Seibold's happy with, the Broncos are happy with, and you have to remember, at the end of the day, I think everyone at the club now realises that it's untenable for Anthony Seibold to remain at the Brisbane Broncos. It feels as though this decision is coming in the next 24 to 48 hours, and it's a matter of how much, not when.
Jamie, is it the right decision given there's 5 weeks left of this year?
I think it's the right decision for him. Yeah, he's got to go through... He's going through a tough time at the moment personally as well, and he's got to take that into account with his family and what's the best for him. Now, I understand there's a lot of money at stake, but I'd find it very hard for him to walk back in there as a person right now after what's going on. This is the biggest club in Australian sport. The Brisbane Broncos are the biggest brand. So for him to go back in there now, I think it's untenable, and hopefully they both part ways and he has to go back and start again now and maybe think about where he wants to be a coach again.
What about for you two? What if he doesn't retire? If he doesn't quit? And
if he doesn't quit?
Out? Yeah.
Well, it makes it... Well, look, it's untenable. His role at the Broncos is now untenable. At the end of the day, if he stays on, he's probably entitled to another $2.5–3 million. But so there's obviously a large discrepancy between what he's still owed by the Brisbane Broncos and what's been reported around the $1 million settlement package that they're willing to give him. So he has every right to turn around now and say, well, you know what, I'm going to stick it out and you owe me another $2.5–3 million. It won't happen. They're going to have to reach a position there.
Take it. As a person that didn't finish a contract, you can say you want to stick it out as long as you like. when the club wants rid of you, they find a way to get rid of you.
Well, the other thing is he wants to coach again at some point. I don't know if he'll ever get a coaching job as the head coach at the club, but if he continues...
He goes back to the start of the cycle again.
Well, if he continues and fights the Broncos, he does his reputation no good either.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one man who could probably give us some answers and give the fans some answers is a former Bronco himself who joins the line, Sam Thaiday. Thanks for coming on Inside the NRL.
Hello. I'll try and give you my best, but I don't have all the answers.
Oh, really? That surprises me. Hey, I guess for all the Brisbane Broncos fans out there, have you ever seen this much drama in your time as a player at that club?
No, they should have put some cameras in there and filmed this. This would have been absolutely brilliant COVID watching, sitting at home. I'm sure people would love to have been binging this. But no, it has been a definite roller coaster at Red Hill this year. And hopefully we can hopefully see the light very soon, and we'll see what we can do next year.
That's such a good point, Sam. It would have been great, just like the doco on Netflix. We could have watched that for sure. But what's your take, in honest opinion? Is it the best decision and in his best interest to call it time?
Well, I think the writing's on the wall. When the club's giving you an option to be paid and leave, it's either jump or be pushed. And if they're going to give you a parachute, I'm jumping. So I hope that it is done quickly and in a good manner as well. Hopefully there's no bad feelings there between Siebes and the club, and we can get this done and dusted so we can look forward to the future and hopefully build and grow with the squad that we've got there, and hopefully get the success that everyone knows that the Broncos can have.
Sam, you're pretty close to everyone at the club. What's the feeling towards Anthony Seibold? Has this been a while now, that this decision, has he been a dead man walking since, 2-3 months ago now, and the club's obviously tried to save face and give him that chance to come good?
Yeah, and I think that's the best thing the club's done. They've backed him 100%, but it isn't working, and that's the hardest thing. We are a results-based game, and we're just not getting that at the moment in Brisbane. So, yeah, it's very, very difficult times, and we are one of the biggest clubs in the sporting arena in Australia. We are a club also that makes a lot of money, and this year, through COVID and through not winning, we are going to struggle next year to, secure some major sponsors. So we need to make sure that we've got the right team behind us, and we're moving forward.
Sam, do the people in power at the Broncos need to be held accountable for the decision? Because they went through hell and back to move Wayne Bennett on. Obviously, you were there at the time and you saw what the club went through to move Wayne Bennett on for Anthony Seibold. Are there people that need to pay the price for what seems like a horrible decision 2 years ago?
Well, that was probably part one of the documentary right there. So we should have filmed that as well. But I think that there will be a report at the end of this year, and there will be a fair few people that will be held accountable for what's going on in this 2020 season. Being a season that has been shortened due to COVID, we still would have liked a lot more success on the field, and we're pretty disappointed in the way that we've gone as a team. And we just want to make sure that we find out and figure out why this has happened, and how we can move on and how we can get better and stronger and grow as a club.
Sam, when they do move on from Anthony Seibold, who do you think should be the next coach of the Brisbane Broncos?
I think a coach like Kevy Walters would be perfect. What Kevy could really do is he could bring some of the old boys back in, which would be fantastic for some of these young kids that we've got there. Some fantastic young talent there, and they just need to know what it means to be a Bronco. And Kevy, with Kevy's connections, can bring some of those older senior guys back in, and hopefully inject some of that Broncos culture back into Brisbane and really build a successful team.
Sam, how important is that old boys club to the Brisbane Broncos? Because I've heard Chris Johns talk about the disconnection there. I look at a guy like Tom Dearden on the weekend who looks like he might be the future 7 of the club. It's important to have those old guys around there in such a young team for the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, it is massive. When you don't have senior players out there or senior players in the group, you need some of the old boys there to inject a bit of culture into what the guys are doing there. Even just something as simple and basic as sharing their story and their own journey to becoming a Bronco and what it meant for them to play for the Broncos. Those little things help. Chris Johns is a fantastic example of that. he can really share his story. And Kevy as well as a coach, he is one of the most passionate coaches I've ever been involved with, and I'm sure he'll bring that passion back to the Broncos.
Sam, you talk about bringing old boys back into the club, and he's not even retired yet, but do you give Cameron Smith a genuine chance of coming and a play for him to be at the Brisbane Broncos?
We'll accept any old boys at the moment. Cam Smith would be absolutely fantastic at the Brisbane Broncos, but that's a massive decision for him. If he wants to be, will go down in history as one of the players that's played the most games of all times for one club. As well, that's something that he might want to live and die by. So I'm unsure what Cam's going to do going forward. He is a fantastic poker player. I've been away on many trips with him, so he is holding those cards close to his chest at the moment. So, yeah.
Sam, can you take me inside the dressing room at the moment? If you were a senior player inside that dressing room of the Broncos right now, what are you saying to the young boys there about their performances that have been up and down and sometimes would be questioned whether they have given up? What are you saying to those young guys with 5 weeks to go? What do you want to see?
So as hard as it is, sometimes I think the honest truth is the best thing to say. And I would make sure that in video sessions I would be open and honest with some of those guys and really tell them what's going on. They are really, really struggling, and they look like a team that's trying at the moment. And we don't need a team that's trying. We need a team that's out there delivering, and they'll grow and get better because of this year, which is good and great. And these young guys are hopefully building a thick skin and a real resilience.
Sam, on a lighter note, what do you think Uncle Wayne's thinking it's at Redfern at the moment, watching this unfold at the Brisbane Broncos? I know you've been quite close to him over the years. Do you think he's having a little chuckle at what's happening at Brisbane?
Oh, he'd definitely be sitting back with his block of Cadbury milk, and he'll be going, I got out of there. But, I still know that Wayne has got a soft spot for the Brisbane Broncos. He'd be hurting to see how they're going because he has been there from day one. Essentially, it's his kid. It's his baby, the Broncos. And, he was there in the early days and really helped set it up. So I know that he'd be hurting as well.
While we're talking about Wayne Bennett, you've got a special segment. Where did that inspiration come from? Wayne on Wednesdays, is it?
Wayne Bennett Wednesdays, yeah, fantastic.
We love it.
It's all about trying to create some social content. It's hard these days. You try to do something new and something different. But yeah, that was the last time I went to an Italian restaurant with Wayne. He's not great company. He fell asleep, and then his carbonara come out. He was happy. So, yeah, Wayne Bennett Wednesdays, guys. At Sam Thaiday on Instagram. Check it out. I try to mix it up and do something different each week, and it's a bit of fun. I did ring the big boss and I asked him if it was okay if I did it. I didn't want to get sued or anything like that. I know Wayne's got a lot of money and I haven't got much to give away at the moment. So, yeah.
Can you give us a sneak peek of what's to come on Wednesday? Because we've got to tune in.
Wayne Bennett Wednesday this week. I might. I've got to try and find a nice photo with Wayne with his shirt off. Actually, we'll see what we can do.
I'll make sure we stay tuned in for that one. That sounds like a beauty. Thanks so much, Sam. We appreciate you coming on. We know you're a busy man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sam Thaiday there, and you can watch that match between the Brisbane Broncos and the Sydney Roosters live on our broadcast partners, Channel 9. Now, interesting response there on Cameron Smith, gents. Is it time for him to retire? What's your thoughts?
Oh, I hope not. I hope not, because he's probably the last of the immortals that we're going to see for a little while. I know there's still some young guys coming through, and that's always a transitional phase in any sport that you watch, but I hope he goes around again.
Yeah, I'm a bit torn on this one. I'd love to see him play again, but I don't know how I feel with him running out in a different jersey, because from our understanding that if he plays on, it won't be at Melbourne. The Melbourne Storm are resigned to the fact that he's going to either retire at the end of the year or move on and play somewhere else. So we won't see him in a Storm jersey. I just don't know how I'd feel. It didn't sit right, Cooper Cronk playing at the Roosters. It sat right for the Roosters.
The two premierships, it sat all right.
It sat very well for them, but I just don't know if, in terms of, there's a fairy tale story around a one-club player.
Michael Jordan retired Washington Wizards. Yeah, there's story. He's always going to be remembered for the Melbourne Storm and those great teams and the players and the greatest of all time. If he could go and do similar to what Cooper Cronk did, maybe not win a title, but
we won't win a title.
Take the Titans to the 8 or the Broncos back into the 8, wherever he goes.
Can he captain coach?
Well, he's already captain coach.
I'd love to see that. Michael, you did
Does he get double the salary?
Yeah,
Is that an option?
You did have in the Sydney Morning Herald this morning. So what side would Cameron Smith benefit the most, Brisbane Broncos or the Gold Coast Titans?
Look, I think he'd benefit the Titans next year with that young side. I don't know if Brisbane, with Cameron Smith, he's going to make a decision based on where his career goes after it. Now, I'm sure either club would offer him a job after football in whether it's a coaching department or whatever it may be. I think I'd like to see him at the Titans, to be honest with you. I think the Broncos are a basket case, and there is a risk that if he goes to the Brisbane next year, that his career could end on a really sour note. I think there's upside to the Titans, and he could go in there and make a difference to a region that has long been calling out for a successful sporting team.
Well, it's going to be a tough one because you've got Mal Meninga pitching for the Titans and you've got Darren Lockyer and pitching for the Brisbane Broncos. So both guys that he's been coached under and also played with that he respects greatly. So I'm going to be interested to see if he's thinking about footy-wise and the team that's going to be on the up, it's the Gold Coast Titans. But that Brisbane Broncos brand ain't going anywhere. I know they're struggling at the moment, but that long-term success being involved with that, they will bounce back, and he might be a big part of that, whether it's on the coaching staff with the new coach or not.
Yeah, without a doubt, an immortal, right? Surely.
He's the greatest of all time. I'm pretty sure that qualifies him.
Absolutely. Rugby league fans, he is so phenomenal, and it'll be quite some time before there is another rugby league player like him. But sweet or soured? What's this week? Please be kind.
Of course it's nice. It's sweet this week. Just talking about the competitiveness in the game at the moment. Two efforts on the weekend that really stood out for me. Everyone's seen the Josh Papali chase down here. This is Jamal Fogarty who makes a break. Now, just watch the big fella here. Just chugging along and then dives right at the end. Ricky Stewart. No wonder they love this man down in Canberra. He's been their player of the year the last 5 years that he's been down there. But some talk around whether he's the greatest forward that Canberra Raiders have ever had. And you look at efforts like this, Chamis, and it's hard not to see why they love him.
Well, incredible. A few years ago, I think he was dropped from the Australian team as well as a result. Well, because of his fitness and his lack of desire to get his body right. And from my understanding, he moved in with Michael Oldfield a few years ago, and he really turned around his nutrition. He stayed with him for about a month, and he's turned his life around, Josh Papali, and hard to argue he isn't in the top two front rowers in the game.
We have a look at that effort, and the other one for me, Katie, was the other night. Melbourne Storm had none of their stars playing, but Brandon Smith, I know he broke his jaw, but if you have a look at this effort right here, just at the death, just to come across and stop Michael Jennings, the game's gone. But this kid just loves playing footy. He is my favourite player to watch in the NRL. And, when I was playing, Jonathan Thurston typified competitiveness and always being in the frame to stop a try or score a try. And we saw it so many times with Queensland. But I see that play from Brandon Smith, and I love watching that competitiveness, especially from such a young guy.
It's why the Storm won't let him go. He'll be there, regardless of Harry Grant's situation.
Oh, so you've come back into my camp a little bit.
I think the clubs will be interested, and Brandon Smith probably has a right to look around, but I think the Storm are planning for both of them in their starting side next year. I think maybe Dale Finucane may move to the front row or something, and you can play Brandon Smith as your lock. The Storm don't want to lose him.
Okay. I love it. That was like a double sweet. How good.
Double sweet with a little bit of cherry on top.
Perfect. Thank you, Jamie. It is now time for this week's Casualty Award, brought to you by Go Healthy Vitamins. Newcastle coach Adam O'Brien has likened his team's injury toll to soldiers getting shot. Now, this comes after his newest recruit, Blake Green, was helped off the field with what is suspected ACL injury. Horrible news for the 33-year-old who is off contract at the end of the season. Their opposition didn't finish unscathed either. Cowboys' Jason Taumalolo will miss the next 4 weeks after he limped off with a calf injury. A huge blow to Melbourne. Brandon Smith broke his jaw in their loss to the Eels. The hooker has 2 teeth missing, 2 titanium plates and 8 screws, and posted this to his Instagram, confirming to fans his surgery went well. So well, he got a few touch-ups. Apparently no filter. And Manly can't catch a break. Moses Sully ruled out for the season with a foot injury. If we take a look at the other round 15 injuries, Brandon wasn't the only Melbourne man to go down. Kenny Bromwich and Riley Jacks also sidelined. While there's relief for the Roosters after Matt Ikuvalu was cleared of a serious syndesmosis injury, and his skipper Boyd Cordner is one of many who could return in round 16. Cronulla can expect Sean Johnson back. Sean and his wife Kayla welcomed their firstborn Miller into the world last Thursday. While the Cowboys are confident Valentine Holmes could be back to play against his old team on Saturday, and Storm will do all in their power to have their 2 Camerons back and potentially Jerome Hughes for Sunday's blockbuster against Manly. Yeah, certainly will be a big match. But, gents, we did have Blake Green at the top there. Devastating news considering his circumstance, being off contract at the end of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, shattered for Blake Green, especially Newcastle Knights. He'd slotted in well there, so hopefully we get to see him back and he gets that contract situation sorted out soon.
Do you think he will, Michael?
I think he may struggle for a little while. I don't think anyone's going to be rushing to jump at Blake Green, given the fact that he may not be able to play till next May. You know, that's a long way away, and it's a big part of the season that he may miss. So hopefully for Blake Green, he still has what it takes to play in the NRL. It's just whether you want to pay a guy money to just sit on the sidelines for the first 3 or 4 months of the season.
Yeah, hopefully the Newcastle Knights have a result in the coming days. That's this week's Casualty Ward, brought to you by Go Healthy Vitamins. All right, it's now time for Hit or Miss. First up, gents, harsher penalties will eliminate crusher tackles. Jamie?
Hit. I was lucky enough to call a game on Saturday night between Manly and the Rabbitohs. There was no crushers, but I think there's an ownership and responsibility on the defender as well, that they can feel when those bodies are twisted in that situation. If you leave your feet, like that one there, you can see him readjust to put his foot down. Paul Vaughan got 2 weeks for this one. I think you've got to have some sort of ownership as a defender.
I agree. I think the harsher punishments will have the desired effect. It did so with the shoulder charges when we introduced harsher punishments there. So, a question to you, have you noticed players, I know that defenders have traditionally manoeuvred the attacking play in certain positions, but have you noticed a trend with attacking players turning their bodies around? And do you think there's a ploy there to try and get themselves into awkward positions to milk penalties?
Well, I think that's the fine line, because you need to be careful as a defender but as a player as well, that accidents happen. It's a contact sport, we realise that, and sometimes you can twist your body around, because you look at Regan Campbell-Gillard, turns his shoulder to run every time. Now, if he spins out of that tackle and someone grips and falls down, there's accident crushes, and then there's ones where you leave the feet. Like that one there, he needs to be able to let him through, Payne Haas, but I think most people in the NRL world can tell the difference between an actual crusher and one that's just a bit of an accident.
Yeah, Graham Annesley did warn that there would be a minimum 1 week ban if you were found guilty. There were 3 on round 15, but Ricky Stewart actually suggested that if you are going to, if they are going to call it a crusher tackle and players go down, that player must come off similar to an HIA.
Love it.
So you can't milk it. The NRL have said no, they're not going to take that stance, because it then opens up a world of problems with the interchange. But is there something
too,
similar?
Katie, yeah, I think that you'll open yourself up to milking as well if everyone's coming off for a.
But then that's the penalty for milking. Yeah, if you're the main player and you think you stay down, like Sivo,
it's not the halves, Sal.
I'm just saying.
The forwards.
Listen,
if you're coming
saying.
off at that time, why not?
Please listen to what I'm saying.
Tell me what you're
saying. All right, Micah Sivo right now, if he's felt a little bit of pressure on the neck but not enough to be a crusher, and the referees, if he's trying to get a penalty, which we all know that players do, we're not blind to the fact that players try and get penalties where they can and get an advantage, like coaches do, then you should have to go and get 5 minutes off and make sure it's treated.
Yeah, but there's no symptoms to suggest there's a concussion. I don't think you can take the mickey out of the concussion rule. You're going off for a HIA test, or you're not. You know, if you hurt your neck, have you got a concussion? I don't think that correlates to a concussion test.
Well, you've obviously hurt yourself, though.
Yeah, but you hurt your ankle. You don't come off for a concussion test.
Well, I think there might be a solution there.
I agree. It's a blight
very
game.
grey, but I think there might be a solution there. Ricky Stewart's, I don't mind it.
Onto something. Okay, question 2. The Tigers should be chasing Josh Adokar over Charlie Staines. Hit or miss, Michael?
I'm going to say, as a fullback, I'm going to say miss. I think the money that Josh Adokar is chasing at the moment, it's in excess of $800,000. And no one is going to pay $800,000 for Josh Adokar to play fullback when he hasn't played fullback very often. Well, I don't think ever in the NRL. So the Tigers are looking at Josh Adokar as a winger, and if he plays a little bit of fullback, then so be it, and then potentially add some incentive bonuses in his contract that if he plays 20 games a season at fullback, then he'll trigger an extra amount there. But I think there's more value in chasing a young Charlie Staines, who's obviously come through the juniors as a gun fullback, and if you get him for $250,000, $300,000, I think that's more value and upside in for the Tigers to get someone like him instead of Adokar to play fullback.
Their salary cap's stretched already, the Tigers, isn't it? Like, they've only got a couple $100,000 for next year. I would be investing in Charlie Staines off the basis of that, because Josh Adokar's an elite winger in the top 3 or 4 in the game. You know, can he make that transformation to fullback? Adam Dewey's had some bright lights there, bright spots there in playing fullback, but they haven't been able to solve that. I think that they need to go for an out-and-out fullback, and that's Charlie Staines. And then you work around that. If you can swap Tommy Talau for Josh Adokar, and that sort of matches up the salaries, then all of a sudden you've got two strike weapons. Charlie Staines, a fullback, and Josh Adokar, a winger.
The Tigers cannot afford to buy another player who they don't know where he plays. They've got Adam Dewey at fullback. They're going to play him at 6 next year. They've got Josh Reynolds playing at hooker. He's not a hooker. They've got Moses Mbai playing at centre. They don't know where Moses Mbai plays. They cannot buy somebody else and hope for the best out of them.
Okay, good point.
Thanks, Katie.
Always adding something. I love it. All right, last but not least, the Panthers need to lose one before heading into the finals.
Yes, hit. I think that I had a look at their draw. They've got the Cowboys and the Bulldogs the last 2 games. I think they might rest. That's a long trip to go up to North Queensland on game day. I think they might rest some guys there that need it. But I think about the years that we were successful at the Dragons, and we always had a flat period where Wayne would load us up with training and stuff like that, knowing that you can bounce back a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
I think they need to lose one.
If they've got the top 2 wrapped up, they can afford to rest them, but they know the importance of a top 2 because it means they play at home in week 1. They're trying to make sure the NRL doesn't take their home game to ANZ. If they play at Panther Stadium week 1, they're a 6-10 point better football team at home. So
against the Roosters?
Well, it depends who they play. I think they want to. It doesn't matter who they play. If they're playing Parramatta, they don't want to go to Bankwest or ANZ. Either way, there's an advantage for them playing at Panther Stadium. So for me, what is the question?
Do the
This happens every
Panthers
week.
need to lose a game?
No, I don't believe in that. No, I don't.
Okay, so just
if they're
hit or
playing well
miss.
enough, it's
you could just one word, hit or miss, please.
Miss.
Great. Thank you. You're getting better.
Thank you.
This is great. It's now time for Power Rankings. Jamie, take it away.
It's delightful! It's delirious! It gets no better than that!
This week's Power Rankings saw a tale of two tales when you look at the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're absolutely outstanding at ANZ Stadium on Saturday night. A big win, but for me, the inconsistency of South Sydney has shown why they haven't been able to trouble the top teams.
But it also showed you, Sao, why they will be able to trouble the top teams. If they play the way they did against Manly, against the top sides, they're the only team outside that top 5 that can give the competition a shake. A great performance from the Bunnies on the weekend.
Latrell Mitchell was more involved than I've seen him all year. And although it helps everyone else in the team, I thought it helped Damien Cook out. You look at his game the other night, Latrell being in and around the ruck and telling him when to go. That was Damien Cook's best game of the year. Yeah,
I agree. And you see Damien Cook in Origin with Tedesco. When Tedesco's calling the shots in the middle of the field, Damien Cook thrives. So Latrell could learn a lot from that.
The team they played has had a heap of injuries this year and they continue their slide. And if you have a look at this off-season coming up, I think it's the most important for the Manly Seagulls in their club's history. They need to find a way to build some guys and depth around DCE and both the Trebojevic brothers.
Yeah, it's a tough one, Sowie. The problem with building depth around that roster is the fact that 35% of the salary cap is taken up between the salaries of Jake Trebojevic, Tom Trebojevic and Cherry Evans. Now, it's great for Manly, but it means that the players around them, they aren't able to add the depth as you're hoping for. So for Manly, they need Tom on the field and they need him desperately. The season looks like it's over now.
Well, it looks like that when Tom doesn't play, that their season sort of starts to go, so they need to find some value players there. The Newcastle Knights had a very gritty win up there at McDonald Jones Stadium, but the loss of Blake Green is a huge one in terms of their finals aspirations. They will make the 8 because they're better than the other 8 teams, but in terms of making any dent in that sort of final series, I can't see it happening now. Yeah,
massive blow. Not just for the Knights, but for Blake Green, obviously one of the good guys in the NRL. But the question now is, where do they go? Like, I don't think there's an actual ready-made answer for Adam O'Brien. He may have to tinker for a few weeks to get the right formula before the finals, and that's not ideal what you want to do a month out from the finals.
I still think it's good signs for Newcastle in the next couple of years. Make sure you keep an eye out on NRL.com every Monday for the NRL Power Rankings.
I'll make sure I do that, Jamie. Oh, no, that just was karma.
Yeah.
It's time now for Champ or Chump, and I know we did just see vision of DCE being Falcon, but it's too good not to share for a second time. What do you think was going on between him and Cade?
I'm pretty sure DCE, I got the audio and he's going, my ball, and Cade Cuss didn't see who it was, and then he goes, it's me, DCE, and he goes, I better pass it to him anyway and hit him in the head.
That reminds me of... I think it was Nathan Brown with the great late Lance Thompson with the 20-metre tap.
Yeah. Nothing will beat that.
No, that comes close though. It's a chump from not for DCE, for Cade Cuss. That's terrible.
That's what I was going to say. Is it on Cade Cuss or is it DCE that you chump?
Both.
Okay.
Get beat by 50, it's both.
Okay, fair
Sorry,
enough.
guys.
And Darius Boyd was apparently playing dress-ups on the weekend. NRL roast absolutely nailed this with a comparison to the Lord Voldemort. What do you think? Yeah.
The name that
Him
shall
being
not be
strapped up.
mentioned.
Yeah. He who should not be named.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Dubs.
That's good. That's good.
It's very good. Well done, NRL roast. Yeah.
They're going to miss. I know that he's copped a lot of criticism the last couple of years. They're going to miss his involvement and leadership next year.
You turned very dark then.
Well, it's Voldemort. Can't be happy about it. But they're going to miss him next year, and I'll be sad not to watch him play. He's one of the greats of the game that probably hasn't got the recognition that he deserves over the last couple of years.
His book actually just came out over the weekend, Battling the Blues. So NRL fans who are fans or not fans of Darius Boyd, I'd recommend that you read that one. I haven't yet, but I'm sure it'll be a goodie. Now, that's it for Champ or Chump, but NRL Teams is back tomorrow at 3:55, just before round 16 drops, of course. Zach Bailey with Brett Kamali and Robbie Farah there. There's going to be lots of ins and outs and plenty of movement, so don't forget to watch that one. And also, don't forget to vote for your favourite try, thanks to Drinkwise. Go on NRL.com and make sure you cast your vote. That's it from us. We'll be back again same time next Monday. Have a good one.
Carrigan, Dearden. Tony Staggs, a little bit of room to move for the first time tonight. Looks on a fend. Still going for Tony Staggs. He's got support. White needs support. For Tony Staggs, you superstar. What a try.
75 metres. Bang. See you later, champ. Bang. See you later, champ. Oh, hang on. I'll tell you what I'll do here. Oh, see you later, buddy.
Whiten for Whitehead with the runaround play. Opening up, Rapana back in field. Jack Whiten goes in. That is execution perfect from Canberra. Jack Whiten front and centre. The runaround play, then he backs up on the inside. Beautiful to watch, boys.
Takayaho, oh look at this, wow. Tupanua pouring down the middle, they're lining up and he tried to do it on his own, still got the late pass away, oh it's another Morris try. The Roosters, half their side is missing and still they are having no problems tonight.
For Hopewadi, numbers, meaning with space, left eye back on the inside, goes to the corner, trick play, what a pass, what a Bulldogs try. They turned it on down the left edge. He hits it, he's got it!